Hey everyone, it's Jennifer Osger again, and this is the first day of the second week of our Learn from Home opportunity. That's the best way I like to refer to this. We right now are in this kind of like middle zone where we're not having any school, and we're also not going on to a learning online type of model yet. We're most likely going to be extending this. In our state, the governor said that we're extending this. Different sources are saying different things, but we're pretty much presuming that we are not going back for the rest of the academic year. Now, there's so many different thoughts going on in my head as far as what would I like to talk about right now. And one thing that I was really thinking about is how parents are feeling during this time. I'm a teacher and I'm home with my with my kids, and my students are home. I'm communicating with my students back and forth a little bit. I know we're going to ramp it up next week. My two children are at home, and I'm just thinking about all the different parents' situations on, depending upon what their job is, the amount of stress that's going on in that house. I'm the first to admit that I'm extremely fortunate that I'm a teacher and we will still be working from home. And we have the flexibility to play around with the times and how we're going to post things. And as long as we're finding ways to educate our students, give them these learning opportunities, give them instructions, there's so many different ways we can do that. I'm, like I said, first to admit that I'm super, super lucky. There are some people who are trying to work from home and trying to get their job accomplished. And it's really hard because they're not used to being home, doing whatever it is they normally would do at work, and then also tending to the needs of their kids at home. There are some who are not doing any work because their jobs shut down and they have no work and they're out of a paycheck. And I can't imagine that pressure. And then there are some people who, for whatever reason, maybe they're in the healthcare industry or they're one of those essential jobs where they have to go to work and the kids are at home. And what do you do with your kids? So, my heart goes out to all of you with the different struggles you're having. What I'd like to give are some tips to those specifically who are in the situation that they're home with their kids and you got to find something to do with them all day. I mean, this is basically a snow day for 8 weeks, and you can't tell them to go out and play in the snow. Right now it's raining where we're at. So what do you do with your kids so you can get work done or so they're not driving themselves crazy and driving yourself crazy in the process too? So I made some lists of some things, and if I was more savvy and this wasn't a state of emergency, I'd probably get my husband to edit some of this and put in like some cool graphics and all that stuff. But I'm just going to do low tech, high on the content, low on the bells and whistles. So first thing is, if you think of the day as this long stretch of time and you don't know how you're going to fill it, that can be overwhelming. So first thing is to chunk it. Don't think of it as 8 hours, 12 hours. Think of it as little chunks of time, and how can you break that up? So you've got when they come up in the morning, depending upon when they wake up, like my son, he's still on his basic school bus schedule. So he's probably downstairs by 7. I've been up for about an hour and a half doing some of my work. So what I do is I'm up first. He goes downstairs and takes his time waking up and does whatever he does. And then I come downstairs and we talk a little bit about our day, the things that we want to do. We make breakfast together, and then we have a little conversation at breakfast time. And then after breakfast time, I tell him, change, brush your teeth, take your vitamin, and then I want you to do what's in your folder. So just real simple, you have this probably in elementary school where they come home and they have something on the one side and then they do it and you put it over there. So, do the same thing. You could print things out. You could give, an instruction, go onto this website, go here, depending upon how old. Like my son's in 2nd grade, and he's actually at the point now where he can access email. I can set up on the laptop, what you're going to do for the day and go onto these links. If your teacher said, you can go onto Nearpod or watch this video, all the different things. So you can do it online. We've had it where we had some hard copy packets. There's also some PDFs that we had. So what I do is I take those PDFs, put it in the document, have them read it right there on the screen. And then the questions that are right there, I just have a notebook and I tell him, put a date up at the top. What are you doing? And answer the questions just in our spiral notebook. You can also get, one of those portfolios, the expander pockets that go in, and then, have different subjects. And it doesn't have to be super complicated. It could be language arts where they're reading some things. If they read something in the morning, they can do a double-sided journal. On the one side, they can summarize what they read. And then on the other side, they can have more subjective things like, what they wonder about or make predictions. So you can do that. You can do a word of the day. It's really more about quality and less of the quantity. So to think that you've got to fill up the whole day with schooling and instruction, you're going to burn out, they're going to burn out. So chunking, like I said, I have him do something right after breakfast. Then he's got a little downtime. I can do some work. Then I come back and we do some exercise together. And we could do, dance, what is it? Dance Revolution, or I can't remember what it's called. And there's tons of YouTube videos, exercise things that we can do. A couple of word problems. And then, he can go practice his drums, or he can play board games with his sister. And then before you know it, it's lunch time, and, we reconnect then. And then there's, instructional videos. So there's, you can decide how you want to break it up, but that really helps if you anchor it around, lunch, breakfast, lunch, afternoon snack, and then what do you have them do for instruction time, and then schedule in their fun time because they need that. So if you say, okay, look right here, this whole block of time, you get to do whatever you want while, mommy, grandma, whoever is doing her work. So that's one thing. Folders, I said about that. Another thing is you can create some goals. What would you like to accomplish by the end of the day? Or what would you like to accomplish by the end of the week? And just chart it. And not in a punitive way where, well, you didn't really do it today, so you get some negative points. But always reinforce the positive, the good things that they did, how proud you are of what they did. They will eat that up. They'll look for more of that. And so, when you say, hey, listen, if when you are able, it doesn't even have to be by the end of the week. Although if you set a goal with a time, a SMART goal, by such and such time, that'll keep them focused. But your child. If that by the end of the week stresses them out, then maybe don't do that. If your child needs that goal and thrives on that particular due date, then do that. But you can say like, hey, listen, after you've read 5 books, we can do X, Y, and Z. You can't take them out to the bounce park or trampoline park or anything like that. But what you can do is you can ask them, hey, find out what their currency is. What things do they value? And then you can do that. Another thing is, how sometimes they ask questions about things and you're just so busy and you're like, I don't really have time for that. My perspective, a lot of times, the weekend, it's just Saturday and Sunday, and half of that time is just spent catching up from the previous week and getting ready for the next week. And before you know it, boom, it's Monday and it's all over again. Well, we now have the opportunity to view all of this time as a way to slow things down, be more mindful of what we do with our children. And if you say, you know what, let's make a list of all the things we would like to learn between now and the end of the school year. You know how you always wondered about, what the inside of a volcano looks like? Like, let's really do a deep dive on volcanoes. And then that might lead to, earthquakes or weather. Who knows? Maybe it might lead to some geography of different areas that have volcanoes and the habitat. Maybe they wonder about space. If they're older, maybe it's about current events or psychology, what makes people tick, or different animals. So if you make a list of all the topics that they would love to explore and then just find different ways to do that, that can really help a lot too. You could also use life skills where, when was the last time you really designed a meal, planned it out, cooked with your kids, or cleaning the house like that? Believe it or not, don't take for granted that kids know how to clean the house. They could get really good by the end of the 8 weeks and say like, you know what, we're all in this together. This is teamwork. Here's an opportunity for us to really function as a family. And like pick a room a day, or just like one task and say, okay, today we're going to dust the living room and this is how to do it. My son and I yesterday cleaned up this whole one area in his bedroom, and we moved all of his books in his bedroom that I actually thought he wasn't reading. And I said, let's go through all of these. And there were a handful of them. And he said, oh yeah, I read that one. I said, when did you read that? He said, remember you would tell me go to bed, but before, pick a book and read it? I actually did that. I was amazed. And so he reorganized his bookshelf, and we donated books to some neighborhood kids who are a little bit younger than him. And so he learned about giving back and service, sorting out, alphabetizing, just alphabetizing his books, or organizing it according to size, or, how would you like to organize the books? That took a couple of hours yesterday. And now he's so proud of that space that he created. Well, while we were doing that, I found some cross-stitch cloth. I think you pronounce it Adia cloth, Adia. And I also found a cross-stitch book. And I said, hey, put this down in our craft bin. And he asked me about it. And he said, can you make me something from this book? I said, absolutely. That's something we can do. So start making a list of all the things you would like to do with your kids. And then you can schedule that in. So you could have a curiosity hour, or if an hour is too long, a half an hour of things that you'd like to discover together. Another thing is board games. Board games are excellent. They teach strategy, they teach rule following, flexibility. Do we want to go with the rules? Do we want to make our own rules? Let's establish ground rules, reading the directions. That's an excellent thing that we did. Another one is, like I said, reconnecting with books. have them start a journal. My daughter was telling me, she's a freshman in high school, and she said, you know what, Mom? This is going to be in a history book one day. I said, you know what? You're right. I was thinking more like one day you're going to be telling this to your grandkids. And she's like, yeah, and it will be in history books. I was like, whoa, that's pretty amazing. So, you can start creating, if you have those folders and you have those spiral notebooks and the binders, you can start creating a scrapbook of the memories of getting through this. I mean, this is going to be life-changing. I highly doubt that after we get past this, we're just going to go back to normal. Things will change as a result. And I think that's super exciting. So what we could do, and I'm just thinking of ideas right now as I'm saying it, make predictions. How long do you think this is going to last? How do you think this is going to affect our family? In a positive way. Focus on the positive. If you ask a positive question, you'll get a positive answer. That's, using positive psychology, appreciative inquiry. That's one of my trainings that I do with my educational consulting, is to teach people how to view life through play and wonder and curiosity and asking positive questions. That's how you grow as an individual, as a family, as a community, and as the world. So you'll notice too, pay attention to how people are dealing with this coronavirus situation. And if people are looking at it from a deficit-based, fear-based model, or an organizational model of the industrial, where a few people have the solutions to the problems and it trickles down, or do you see people coming together as a community asking, how might we convert this challenge into an opportunity? Those are the organizations that are going to flourish long after this is over. So why not be one of those flourishing models in your family? And ask your family, how might we convert this challenge into an opportunity in our family? What can we do? How do we see ourselves in weeks and months from now, deepening our commitment to each other, relying upon our strengths? Let's imagine that. And you can look at what you've done in the past as a family that's gotten you through some challenges individually as a family, and how can you leverage that and imagine that into the future? So you can collect all of these wonderful stories that you can create over these next weeks to months. What else do I have? Another one is, it's really nice to think about the positives in this, but it's going to be hard. There's going to be challenges. You have to acknowledge that as well. And a really great strategy is to proactively think of some of those hurdles and then have that plan B or that strategy that will get you through. For example, kids, they're going to argue sometimes. They're going to get on each other's nerves. So you can say, when you and your brother or sister begin to get on each other's nerves, what can you do when you acknowledge that that's happening? How can you change that situation? And if they strategize it together when they're getting along, then when it's happening and the emotions are escalating, you can say, wait a minute, there can be someone. And if the two of them can't figure that out, if they know to come and get you and say, okay, so what did we say a week or two ago? When this happens, what are we going to do? And you can just refer to it in the notebook. So I'm telling you, like notebooks and journals and things like this, they will be your godsend. Another thing is you can use this time to really solidify your core values as a family. So, what do we think is really important as a family? What values do we stand for? Truth, honesty, integrity, creativity, honesty. Did I say that one? So think about that. And what is your motto? What is your creed? You could draw a family logo. You could have a little slogan and core values, guiding principles. Have fun with it and really make your family run like an organization, like a corporation. And if you do that, I think you'll see that it can really help. In fact, I believe his name is John Shields, and he has the Family Board Meeting. And it's a book that you can get on Amazon. He's within my circle of contacts. He didn't ask me to plug his book, but it's a great book. So Family Board Meeting. Another great book is The Miracle Morning, and they have The Miracle Morning for Family by Hal Elrod and Honore Corder. And there's also The Miracle Morning for students and for teachers. And so those two books take you through a bunch of mindfulness techniques and strategies that you can do, hence Miracle Morning, what you can do in the morning to set you up for success for the entire day. Now, in the event of all of these situations, you can make the morning whenever you need to. And it's an acronym that they have where it's silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, which is writing. And as I'm talking about all of these things, the strategies, a lot of my strategies that I was talking about really fall in line with that Savers. The other one for families is Charms. And if you look that up for Miracle Morning for families, then they have their own acronym for the kids. Another one is, what else? That's like pretty much what I came up with. So I pretty much came to the end of some of the notes that I came up with. So it seems like a lot of my videos are looking like the sweet spot is about 20 minutes. So I hope that this was of value to you. And what are you doing with your family to get through this time? And you can put that in the comments below. And if you know of some people who are looking for some different strategies to get through, please take this video, send them along, send them the link, and I look forward to connecting with you. Again, my Facebook is Jenformation, and you can email me at jennifer@jenformation.com. And my consulting company that I've co-founded with two wonderful women out in California, it's SEL Solutions. SEL normally is social emotional learning, but we're leveling it up and we're taking it to social emotional leadership solutions. And it's selsolutions.org. I don't know if I said .com before, but it's .org. And we look forward to connecting with you. We have a bunch of resources that we're going to be doing webinars and everything. So please find us, introduce yourself to me. My email, jennifer@jenformation.com. And I look forward to deepening my relationship with you all. Take care, be well, be safe. Bye.